Hi book friends, I'm Erin and this is Erin Go Read. Today is going to be a bit of a chatty video on a popular booktube topic and a question that I get in real life, and that is, how do you read so much? So forgive me if my voice sounds a little odd. I'm getting over a cold. I'm feeling much better than I was, but I'm going to try not to clear my throat or cough too much throughout this video. So about a year and a half ago, maybe, I noticed how much time I was just like wasting. And I was feeling like I didn't have the time that I wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. And so I literally wrote down a list of, all right, what are the things that I want to do? What's important to me? So that includes, visiting or calling my great grandma. She just turned 97. Spending time with my husband. My husband has a traumatic brain injury. He lives at a rehab home about 20 minutes away from me. I see him almost every day. So that's a big portion of my day is with him. I want to make sure I'm doing a daily Bible study with him and with myself. I'm much better at doing it with just myself than I am doing it with him. Spending time reading, exercise, these things. So I said, okay, these are the things that are important to me. At the end of the day, if I look, what have I accomplished today? Those are the types of things that I would like to say, did that. And then, all right, here's what I want to be doing. This is how I want to be spending my time. Now, what did I actually do? And even just being aware of that, I realized how much just time gets sucked into scrolling on your phone. And this has happened to you. You think, I'm just gonna look, and the next thing you know, a half an hour has gone by and you're still sitting on the couch or wherever it is you're sitting while you're scrolling. So I wanted to become more aware of that in order to be more intentional with my time. And so in one of the recent iOS updates on the iPhone, there's now on your settings, in your settings area, you can actually look at your screen time. And so it will tell you like how much time per day that you're spending on your phone. And I think if you go into it, you can even see, I don't know if it's by app or it might be by category of the types of things that you're doing. So maybe you have some sort of productivity thing that you're using on your phone, and so you're using your phone for hours a day on something that's like work related or productivity related, and that's great. That's you're working. But then if you see that, okay, you just spent 2 hours on social media, that's fine if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to be spending your time. But if you're saying you don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to read, check your social media screen time and then maybe reevaluate that. So I did that for myself, and it was a big wake up call. And now you can even set a limit. So I have set a limit for, again, it's for categories of apps. So for social media, I set a limit for 30 minutes a day. So when I get to, say I'm on Instagram, and I'm at 25 minutes, a notice will pop up. You have 5 minutes of remaining social media time for the day. And then you can override it. If you've surpassed that time, you can say ignore the limit either for 15 minutes or for the rest of the day. And even if I do hit ignore for 15 minutes, it's still making me aware of it. So maybe I'm only gonna spend another 1 or 2 minutes on social media, but that's still, 32 minutes I spent on social media instead of like an unchecked amount that could get out of hand. So that's a really big one for me, is just really analyzing how are you actually spending your time, and does it reflect what you want to see out of your day and out of your life. A good workaround for getting more books in a busy life is audiobooks. And you don't have to pay for a subscription service for audiobooks either. I discovered about a year ago, actually at the California State Fair of all places. I live in Sacramento County. Sacramento is the capital of California. And our public library had like a booth at the State Fair. And I was talking to one of the librarians there, and I discovered that you can get ebooks and audiobooks for free from the library. And so I live in Sacramento County, but I'm on the edge of the county, and I'm right next to Placer County. If you've ever driven from San Francisco to Reno or up to the mountains, you would have driven through Placer County once you leave Sacramento County. So I have access to both library systems. One uses the Libby app and the other uses the Hoopla app. And so I have access to all sorts of audiobooks and ebooks. I definitely use the audiobooks. I very rarely read ebooks, but it's so great. So sometimes it's a book that I actually have a physical copy of that I intended to read the physical copy of it. That's why I bought it. But then I happen to have it available on audiobook, or maybe I heard this was a particularly good audiobook, and so I'm going to listen to it that way. And then I listen to it, so I drive about 20 minutes one way to go see my husband at the rehab home where he lives, and I'm there almost every day. And so that's 40 minutes minimum of driving time that I have every day that I'm listening to an audiobook typically. I also listen to audiobooks while I'm doing yard work. So especially if I'm using anything like a lawnmower or something, I'll put in AirPods and I can still hear over the sound of the lawnmower. If I'm in the kitchen cooking or doing dishes or something, I might listen with a Bluetooth speaker. And there are settings too on, I think every audiobook app is going to have a setting for you to like tap or scroll to choose the speed. And so you can listen at 1.25 speed up to, I think some of them go up to like 2.5, 3 times speed. I'm usually listening at 1.5 to 2.0 speed. And so, a 10-hour book you can listen to in 5 hours, 7.5 hours, depending on the speed that you're listening to. And sometimes it varies. For like a classic, I might listen to it at 1.25 speed, and something that's a little bit easier, and depending on just the narrator's natural pace, I might listen to it at 1.75 or 2.0 speed. It varies. Just like we all have our different reading speeds. And also I found, if as like a little hack, if you want to be able to get through audiobooks faster, start off at like, let's say 1.25, and your ear in your kind of your auditory processing will get adjusted to that slightly sped up speed, and then go up one more notch, so go up to 1.5. And at first it'll feel like a difficult transition, but you'll quickly get used to that speed. And so that's how you can kind of ramp it up. And then if it's too fast for you and you feel like you're losing information, you just go back down. So audiobooks and free audiobooks from your library are a fantastic way to get more books in every month. Another great double duty for audiobooks is to listen while you're out on a walk, out on a run. I listened to, a couple years ago, I was training for a marathon, and I have some really specific memories of books audiobooks that I listened to while training for the marathon. So Stephen King's 11/22/63, M.R. Carey's The Girl with All the Gifts, and an amazing run in Santa Cruz listening to Frederick Bachman's Beartown. So you can, especially if you're going to do something like run or go for a long walk, you can just like settle into the story, settle into the rhythm of your walk or your run, and get into the story, get into your activity. And as long as you're not out walking with friends or running in a group where you're conversing, it's a really great way to get that double duty. It's another really great way just to, if you want to be more active, get more movement in your life and more sunshine, you just pop in. I would suggest actually only using one earbud or AirPod at a time, just for safety awareness, environmental awareness. But it's a great way. Hey, I really want to read this book, but I know I should be exercising. I should at least go outside and walk. It's a beautiful day. Get fresh air, get the vitamin D from the sun. Pop in an AirPod, go out for a walk. Maybe use that timer. Set your timer on your phone for 15 minutes. You walk out 15 minutes, timer goes off, turn around and come home. You got 30 minutes of your audiobook in and some great exercise. All right, my last tip has to do again with the phone and our addiction actually to our technology and to our phone, and that constant need to scroll. And have you ever had that feeling? I'm sure you have, of where you just like have to reach for your phone. You have to look at it. You didn't get a notification. You don't actually have something that you want to look up or someone you're going to call or text. It's just this like automatic like addiction. Like we're like tweaking for our phones, and I don't think that's healthy. And so I recognize this in myself, and I also recognized probably cause and effect here is that when I found out I have a much harder time concentrating on one task for very long at all. I have a very short attention span these days, and I think these are very, very linked. And so I'm trying to train myself to concentrate on reading for a specific amount of time without having access to my phone. So ironically, I will use my phone in order to help me to do this. So I will set a timer on my phone for, I started off I think with 15 minutes. Now I do like usually 45 minutes unless I have a particular time constraint, but I'll set an alarm or a timer for 45 minutes. I will, sometimes if I'm on my couch, I will literally toss my phone kind of to the other side of the couch. So I have to actually get up to go get it if I feel that little tweak to go check it. And I will sit there and read. And as long as I don't get a phone call or, if I get a text message that comes in and I'm 32 minutes in, it's like, okay, I have 13 minutes to go. If it's an emergency, they'll call. Otherwise, I can wait for 13 minutes to answer that text message. You can even put it in airplane mode or turn it off completely. Some of us have to stay connected in case of emergency. With my husband's medical condition, I kind of always have to be connected. So otherwise, I totally would just turn off my phone. But removing your phone from arm's distance where you create the very small barrier of actually having to get up to go get it is actually quite effective in getting you to just settle down and read for 45 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you want to start off with. And when you do that, try it out and you'll find your mind starts to drift off to your phone way more often than you would think, and is going to feel comfortable to do. So I think it's a really good practice to do. And, if you could do that, if you set it, if you did the 30 minutes every day, if you could set aside 30 minutes a day, distraction free. Now, of course, this is going to vary based on your home life. If you have kids running around and, a spouse talking to you and planning things with you, then that might vary. But the last thing I want to hit on isn't a tip, it's just kind of a reality check. So we each live our own individual lives, and while if you could read one book a month, you would be thrilled with that. That might seem a great accomplishment to you. That's awesome. For others, if they don't read at least 10 books a month, then they feel like they have failed. So what is a little or a lot is relative to each person. I know that I do not read fast. Because I spend a lot of my time reading out loud to my husband, I find that when I read to myself, I'm reading it in my head as if I am reading it out loud. I even do accents in my head. I won't do the accents out loud, but I read books in accents in my head if it is appropriate. But, we each have our own lives. And so if you're a mom or a dad and you have kids to take care of and you have a household that you're running and you have a full-time job, your time is going to be limited, and a lot of your free time isn't really your own. So if you could squeeze in 20 minutes just of solid reading, that would probably be a huge win for you, and that might be difficult to come by on a daily basis. For me, basically, when I'm at home in the morning, when I'm at home in the evenings, my time is completely my own, and I spend it however I choose. My dog doesn't necessarily love the vast amount of reading I do. If I leave a book out on a table, if they're not put away on shelves, he will bury them in the backyard. He's right here giving me some love. So anyway, just all to say, I don't want any sort of, book volume or speed shaming at all. I know that I have way more time than most people do to read, and I still waste a lot of that time. I could read a lot more than I actually do, but it's about intentionally spending the time how you want to. And sometimes it's okay to intentionally waste time, Another thing is, I don't watch a lot of TV. I only have cable because I'm a huge baseball fan, and I went for about 4 months without baseball last year, like the end of 2017, basically after baseball season in 2017, and the Giants weren't in the playoffs, and so I canceled my cable, and I was totally fine with that, just having like Netflix and Amazon until baseball season came around. And literally opening day, I like raced over to the cable company office, and I'm like, I have to watch my Giants baseball, and like the online systems, it wasn't working. So I do have cable, but I watch it quite sparingly. And I do find if I get sucked into watching TV, you know, HGTV or you know, I love Live PD on A&E too. It's like almost like a new version of Cops. I love it. But I get sucked into it. I stay up later. I don't sleep as well, and I waste a lot more time. So if you turn your TV off, I promise you, you will read a lot more. So I hope these thoughts and these tips were helpful for you. If you have any of your own tips and tricks for how you read, as much as you do, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear some more subjections. I'd love to hear more suggestions. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. See you around the tubes.